Good afternoon. My name is Mikey Abejero and I'm taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, and I am one of your reporters today. The topic that was assigned to me is self-awareness and I am going to discuss it to you this afternoon. So first, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is defined as one's own personality or individuality. Self oftentimes refers to yourself, myself, himself, herself, oneself, and your own self. This refers to a person in prime condition as entire person or individual. And awareness is referred of having or showing realization, participation, commitment, and knowledge of one's values development. As we go on to our lives, we can encounter different kinds of people that will help us to develop our personality. From these people, we can have interactions that will help us to build ourselves. Success can be either positive or negative. Negative attention is also a form of success for a personality. Our surroundings has an impact on our personality on how do we react on various things like how do we handle our problems and happenings in our lives. It says that success can be either positive or negative, and negative intention is also a form of success for our personality. Success is when we know our strengths and we are using it as a weapon to reach our goals in life. Within you, there's still a part that is being hidden, and that is your inner self. It is a quiet presence which will draw attention to itself. It says that do not expect your inner self to blow its horn in the midst of stressful situation, loss, and etc. to save you. It requires a conscious decision to change the focus of your attention. When you are stressed and you can't think straight, and all you can do is to overthink, it is because you are mentally exhausted. It might be hard for you to do this, but you should meditate. Do your best to make yourself to move forward and do self-talk, so you can motivate more of yourself. Unconsciously, there are things that you are not fond of doing and out of your league. Then you get surprised because you're finally doing it. It's like when you are going out of your comfort zone to try new things to develop more of yourself and personality. And let's move on to the nature of self and self-awareness. According to Birch, one of the most crucial process in the early years of child's life is the development of sense of self. Gardner suggests that there are a number of factors that the children should know. They should first be aware of their own body, its appearance, state, and size. Sometimes there are standards that make us feel down. The physical appearance, our state in life, and our body sizes. But this has two phases. It's either you will use the standard of this world to improve more of yourself, or you just don't care at all and just be yourself. Second is be able to refer to themselves appropriately through language and to be able to distinguish descriptions which apply to self and which do not. They say that the way how we speak will reflect on how do we live our lives every day. It is where they distinguish descriptions which apply to ourselves and which are not. And the third one is be aware of their own personal history, experiences they had, skills and abilities acquired for their own needs and wishes. When we are interacting with others, we should also be sensitive in treating them because we might not be aware of their own personal histories and experiences. Also, we can help them to acquire their skills and abilities in their own wishes. And next is emotional self-awareness. It is the ability to recognize our emotions and their effect on us. This means that we are aware of how do we react on environment factors and how our emotions affect our performances. The person who possesses competency of emotional self-awareness is the one who is aware of their own feelings, know why feelings occur, understanding implications of our emotions, pays attention to the physical signs that arouse during stress, and know his own strengths and weaknesses, and understanding his own emotions and the impact of this behavior on others in diverse situations. Another one is accurate self-assessment. It is the ability to know our inner resources, abilities, and limits, and to be aware of our strengths and weaknesses. We can only know our potentials and limitations if we are positive to construct criticisms. We have to develop new perspectives about ourselves and must always be motivated for professional growth. Criticisms are somehow helpful because they are pushing us to do better. It is actually on how do we adapt those criticisms. Use those people who are trying to bring you down and to lift up yourself. Turn those marks into inspiration for your personal growth. Keep motivated. Let's be confident to keep moving forward. Don't let them judge you. So stand straight, cheer up, and have a blast. The person who possesses the competency of accurate self-assessment should have a sense of humor about him or herself, be aware of his own strengths and weaknesses, and must open to feedback. And now, self-confidence. This is the belief in yourself, your capability to accomplish the task. This competency is an acknowledgement of your potentials that you are the best for the job. It is also about conveying your ideas and opinions with self-confidence and having positive impact on others. We can develop self-confidence if we are equipped and has sufficient knowledge and sure of what we are doing and try to act decisively. We can improve ourselves if we accept feedback positively. By doing so, we can ensure that we can change for the better. When you have self-confidence, you can express more of yourself. Being shy will just lose opportunities. If you have confidence, then you have the power to voice out your point of views. Your confidence can inspire others. It will push them to go out of their shell and show off who they really are. There are lots of things for you to boost your self-confidence. Explore more and develop your personality. Showcase who you really are, and opportunities and good life will come to you. The next one is the meaning of man as a person. The term person cannot be exclusively attached to human beings since not all persons are considered human beings and vice versa. A business enterprise is a person, although it is not a human being. On the other hand, a slave is a human being, but he is not a person by virtue of his being divested of his rights as a human being. Although he is still a human being, in this case, a slave is not considered as an existing subject, but a mere object. So why do they say that a business enterprise is a person and a slave is not a person by virtue? It is because business is created by man, managed by man, and products made from business will be useful for man's needs, and man are the responsible on why business is successful or fail. They say that slave is a person but not a person by virtue. It is because slaves has no freedom. They were considered as the lowest state of human being. They were treated badly, got abused, and they have no strength to voice out their complaints. As a philosophical movement, personalism is a study of man as a person, and it pays much interest on the personhood of a man and not so much on the nature of man. We have our own unique attributes and trademarks. This uniqueness makes our existence extra special. Man is never alone in his existence in the world because we have ourselves. It is our companion. Man establishes a relationship with his fellow men in three levels. I to it, I to he or she, and I to thou. On love of God, of oneself, of neighbor, and of country in biblical basis. In Matthew 22 verses 35 to 40, it says that "Sand one of them, a teacher of the law, tried to trap with a question. Teacher, he asked, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus answered, love your God with all your heart and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second most important commandment is like it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. The whole law of Moses and the teachings of the prophets depend on these two commandments. In Romans 1 verses 19 to 20, it says that, because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, its invincible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even in eternal power and Godheads, so they are without excuse. It is because when you love God, when you are a God-fearing person, then everything follows. You will do things that are pleasing in the eyes of God to glorify Him. You are giving the highest praises to God in spirit and in truth. When you love your neighbor, you can do good deeds, give love, and forgiveness. Because faith without work is dead. His grace fell on us, and we have experienced His unending love, holiness, and graciousness. Blessed are those who believe, even if they don't see. And now, the self. Every one of us has an obligation to ourselves, but there are times that we are facing difficulties in understanding these obligations. One of the reasons is, how do we understand exactly what self is? One way to understand selfhood is to conceive it as a personal role that one plays in the general drama of life. In the totality of human history, I have my own unique role to play because on the presence of individual differences. It is a role that includes responsibility that are to be faced, decisions that are to be made, relationships and involvements that are to be lived, and work that is to be performed. In understanding our selfhood, there are certain moral obligations that arise. If a person has a particular life to live, he has a basic responsibility toward that life. He has the obligation to see that life is lived to its fullest. He should play his role as well as he cannot neglect it. Living our life to the fullest, like we are enjoying it but not to the point of ruining our future. We are old enough to know our limitations and focus in life, and how to balance our leisure time in a serious life. Living our lives explores, learn new things, and have a personal growth because time is running. We are not getting any younger. Live our life to the fullest and choose to be happy. Dare to dream, dare to be. The following are examples of great individuals who dared to dream and dared to be. Beethoven was totally deaf, yet he produced musical masterpieces. Milton was blind, poor, and sick, yet he wrote Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. Abraham Lincoln failed several times in his political career before he was elected to become one of the greatest U.S. presidents. Burt Reynolds washed dishes for a living before he became a well-respected actor. Helen Keller struggled to overcome her handicap to become an inspiration to both the blind and the seeing. You as you. Nosti ipsum is Latin for know thyself. Let's begin to know yourself, since the essential formula for achievement is self-analysis. Know the difference between your biological or inherited traits and your environmental or acquired traits. When we say biological, these are the traits that you have since you were born. Inherited traits are the attitudes that you get from your family members, while environmental traits are the attitudes or behaviors that you acquire outside from the people whom you interacted. This is the figure of self-awareness and its relations to holistic community affairs. As we go on to our lives, we faced a lot of challenges that will give us realizations. These realizations will wake us. The realizations that will add knowledge about ourselves and perception in life where we understand the world around us. Then commitment, where we are ready to take responsibility about various things in our life. You as a Filipino. Being aware of and remaining constantly on guard against the Filipino tendency towards negativism. You can eventually propel yourself into positivism. Use your lakas at tibay ng loob or courage and strength to move away from the fatalistic or gulong ng palad, wheel of fortune, and bahala na, come what may attitude. Begin by getting involved with your own life, makialam ka sa buhay mo, cooperate, makisama ka, by first initiating a change in yourself. Begin without expecting instant miracles. You have only one real friend and one worst enemy, and that is yourself. Believe in your abilities and work unyielding to reach your objective. Don't depend on fortunes and lack of life. Work hard and set goals. We are the owner of our lives. Go on and change things that you don't like in yourself and learn things from others. You and your faith. Filipino worship is directed towards God as a father figure who takes care of all. Bahala na ang Diyos. Signifying that divine providence is responsible for our destinies. Thus, whenever problems confront us, and to turn against God and blame Him for all the misfortunes. If this happens, then it means that your faith is not strong enough, because whatever happens, if you believe in God, you will understand Him. Sometimes, our wills are against His. That's why we got hurt and question God. Why is this happening to me? Why of all people, why does it have to be me? First of all, why can't it be you? God made you feel that because He is preparing and testing how strong your faith is. Faith moves mountains. Nothing is impossible. Surrender everything to Him because I tell you, in God, all things are possible. Your self-help concept. You may or may not be aware of the self-help or self-improvement teachings. But if you want to be more successful, you should believe in yourself, keep your priorities straight, take responsibility for yourself, create your own future, focus on what you want, learn to visualize the outcome of your goals, never let anyone control your destiny for you, be creative, think big, control your stress, be aggressive and assertive, and think positively, and more. The next is a self-made wall of negative self-talk. Here are few examples of frequently used negative self-talk. As you read them, see if you know someone who says something similar or if you said something like any of these to yourself. I can't remember names. It's going to be another day of those days. It's just no use. I just know it won't work out. Nothing ever goes right for me. That's just my luck. I'm so clumsy. I don't have the talent, and many more to mention. That's all. I hope you assess yourself and have a self-awareness. I hope you learned something on my report. Thank you and good day.